RealTuners Radio.
Are you interested in learning how to tune electronic fuel injection live in person with the guys from RealTuners? We have 2-day courses in dyno shops all across the country. Register for all of these at RealTuners.com. Click on RealTuners Live Classes. If you'd like to bring 2 or more people, talk to us about group discounts. For more info or to make a reservation, go to RealTuners.com or message us at RealTuners LLC on Facebook. Learn how to tune your own standalone EFI systems like Holley, Fuel Tech, Megasquirt, Fast, and others on the chassis dyno. Includes topics such as traction control, individual cylinder tuning on a budget, and power adders. Upcoming classes with available seats are as follows. EFI Essentials in Detroit this weekend, May 12th and 13th, just a couple seats left. May 26th and 27th will be in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Then Holley EFI Essentials at 417 Motorsports in Springfield, Missouri, June 9th and 10th. And back to Detroit for an all standalones class on June 31st and July 1st. Then we'll be at Nano Nitrous in Kansas City on July 21st and 22nd. Stay tuned, we're working on more dates. Sign up for updates at RealTuners.com. These classes are designed to help you get your project running successfully in a course taught by people who actually do this stuff for a living.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to RealTuners Radio, episode 47. Tonight, joining us is an elite group of professionals, handpicked for their industry knowledge, their expertise, and their availability on a Wednesday night at around 8 o'clock Central Standard Time on a school night. But it is none other than John Bewley, Little John's Motorsports, Mark Dahlquist from Throttles Performance, Cody Bruce of Nano Nitrous, Bill Fowler of Bear Brakes. Put a stop to all the fun on the show. James Short from Short Tuning, Tom Sewell, Fuel Injector Development, Scott Evans, Helix Tuning, Chad Reynolds of Bankshift.com, and the fastest blind guy we know, Dan Parker. Bringing nothing to the table is this guy, Rye Klemp of Bull City Speed, and finally, Scott Clark, Real Tuners.
What's going on, everybody? How's everybody doing tonight?
Yo.
Hey, they're here.
How you
Everybody
doing,
showed up.
sir?
Good to see you, Mr. Sewell.
How
What-
are you doing this evening?
Good. You came on at the last second. Is it annoying for you guys? Do you hear the music when the intro?
You can see.
Yeah, and it's louder than crap too.
Crap. Sorry, man. Somebody should have said something. That's just I need to mute that aux bus or turn it way down so you barely hear it. Sorry. Anyway. Hey, we're live. Check it out. We'll make sure. Yeah, we're live. Everything's working. Groovy.
Live and in color.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. What a week. It's funny because last podcast literally shut down, packed my bags, hopped on a plane first thing the next morning, got home last night. So still living out of a suitcase.
You guys all went to Vegas. How was that?
Went to Holly LS Fest. Well, I first went there and met up with, this is funny, Bewley was there picking up his new ride. Scott Evans lives there. And me and the fiance went to dinner with them our first night there. Like, we got in, got off the plane, checked at the hotel, and then headed out to meet them at the Gordon Ramsay pub or whatever that was.
Man.
Oh, dude, it was good.
Welcome.
Oh, Evans was not
Dude.
lying. That lamb, oh my God. And then the pot roast.
Dude, I wanted to reach over and take some of your better half lamb shank. Right
No,
off the
I
plate.
finished that. She left me some, and I'm like, no, I'm not sharing. So I got both. I got the braised pot roast and the lamb on the shank. Oh God, it was good. Gordon Ramsay's restaurant.
Next time we need to do that, I'm gonna park on the outskirts of town and take a cab.
Yeah, wheeling that truck through the casino there. I can imagine.
it was kind of stressful.
Well,
I
with those
go-
toe mirrors out, that thing's so wide.
Oh,
You know he had
here we
him
go.
So Sewell, he meets us for dinner, and he's got like 1.6 miles on this truck, right? And I start telling Ferris Bueller jokes about the guys who are taking it out for a joyride, and John didn't even like screw around. He just looked at me and he's like, "Man, why you got to talk like that?" It was hilarious.
Like literally, like
He's like, "I got like 1 mile on that thing."
I picked the truck up. The dealership is on East Sahara. And East Sahara, basically, you go west on East Sahara and it intersects with South Las Vegas Boulevard. So the first 5 miles,
AKA the strip.
the strip, the first 5 miles that I put on this truck are down Sahara, hang a left on South Las Vegas Boulevard, right down the middle of the strip.
Straight through the
Now,
traffic.
Straight through traffic, straight through the pedestrian traffic, which for a Thursday night, it was absolutely crazy. I could just imagine what that place was like on a Friday night or a Saturday night. So here I am in this truck. I haven't driven a manual in a long time. And I haven't even had the truck over like 30 miles an hour. And I'm driving right down the middle of South Las Vegas Boulevard with this thing. Freaking out, anxieties through the roof. Just like, are you kidding me right now? Trying to pay attention to the GPS, and the lanes on that road are not exactly wide. So I pretty much take up the whole damn thing and then can't find a parking spot. The parking garage at Caesar's Palace, where Gordon Ramsay's restaurant is, has like a 6'5" limit.
6
So,
foot low and the
6'0", yeah.
And you're not
6'0"
sure.
And that my new truck's like 8 foot tall. And then I pull up to the valet, and the dude at the valet is like, "Yeah, we're only accepting gold and diamond club members for valet tonight because we're so full." I'm like, "Dude, listen, I can't fit in the garage here. Just here's an extra 20. Find a spot for this thing while I go eat dinner." So he broke the rules and valeted my truck for me.
But he took good care of you, didn't he?
Oh yeah,
Good
yeah.
man.
They ended up parking it right up front by the fountain.
Perfect.
I don't think they had a parking spot for the damn thing to fit in. So they parked it on like the side of the exit to drive out of the place, and it was like sitting right up front, like it was a Bentley or something. It was hilarious. I was laughing my ass off.
It was a good time, man.
With the shift knob in.
Good dinner.
Have you been parking the truck out front at work so you can see it?
Well, I always park the truck out front at work. I can't see out the window. I don't have it parked where I can see it out the window or nothing. But
can't see out the
gets
window
parked
because the truck's in the way.
Maybe.
It's a good looking truck.
I didn't take the shift knob with me. I didn't put it.
Oh, that was my
on until I
next
got
question.
home.
Was what mods are we got going so far? Did you bring one with you?
Oh no, I didn't bring any with me on the plane to do before I even bothered to drive it home. But
You did get the bonus steps though.
yeah, man, how about that shit? You want to talk about like that was my getting lucky in Vegas story right there. Had no clue they were on the truck. Dealership didn't mention it. Popped the door, and here come the amp steps folding out from underneath the edge of it.
I can see the smile roll across your face.
Like a kid in a candy store, man. That's like $1,500 I don't have to spend on that thing. That's awesome.
That is badass. That's a nice truck. No, I mean that was
Thank you.
one part work, and one part vacation a little bit for me. But I enjoyed that trip, man. It was Holly LS Fest was super cool. Me and Evans went over
That was
there.
pretty cool, yeah.
Yeah, no, and it was interesting. The West Coast one, they got the off-road trucks or whatever, which I got yelled at by Ricky for not going to see them. Sorry, man. We went and saw like 8 other people. It was busy.
You guys said you were going to go commandeer a stadium super truck.
Yeah, I wanted to, and I didn't even know where that stuff was. And I saw pictures later. I must have been off somewhere, but we saw they had the road course going, they had the autocross going, which were both hugely popular. The drifting
That seemed to be
events.
the big thing there.
Dude, there were like
Man,
40
that was
cars
huge.
lined up for the drifting thing. Okay, you know what? And people were like, whatever. I'm okay with drifting because guys are out there fixing, breaking, and upgrading their cars and doing stuff. That's cool to me, But
West Coast guys are all about drifting too.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
all a drifting and road coursing out
it's
here.
cool, and there was like 40 cars lined up doing it. But and then they had a Ron Sutton seminar that I made Scott stand through a little bit. But I like Ron Sutton, man.
I enjoyed that.
yeah,
He's a cool cat. We need to get him on
super
here at some point.
Oh God, no kidding, man. Remind me, we got to get Ron on. I'm sure he would get on here too. Super
He
cool
was
guy.
awesome.
Oh, dude, the guy's resume is effing ridiculous. That's all I'm going to say. Everything from Trans Am road racing cars back to NHRA Pro Stock, like championship level winning Pro Stock back in the day. All chassis, suspension, setup stuff. But he understands pretty much the whole car. Anyway, I worked with him on his line of road race engines that he developed, the LS engines. I get to do his calibration. That's the stuff I'm always going down to Scoggin Dickey, hanging out with Aaron and Daryl and all the dudes down there. And and Stuart Sheffy, my hero, dyno operator. But anyway, Ron does these engines, these road racing engines or whatever for like autocross and Optima Challenge type guys. And so that's how I know him. But we go out to Holly LS Fest and we hear over the PA that, Ron Sutton's giving one of his seminars, like a condensed seminar at the Speed Tech trailer. And so I made Evans go over there, run over there. Like I said, I thought it was pretty cool. It was road racing oriented, but the dude knows his drag racing too.
It was pretty cool. I got to say, that wasn't forcing me. I enjoyed it.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. I wasn't sure, but it's fun to hang out and talk with him afterwards too. It took him a second to recognize me. It's pretty funny. He's like, "Oh," it clicked. I knew he was looking at me.
Glasses on.
Yeah, didn't have the glasses on. But anyway, that was a good time. I thought it was cool that somebody paid to have that kind of knowledge dropped right there on site. I mean, that's usually something you should be paying hundreds of dollars for. But
yeah.
God, what else did they have? They had drag racing. The drag racing was less popular.
There was some, yeah. It just wasn't as big. We got the confirmation of how flat I told you that surface is, and Chad Reynolds out there announcing. He said he got to see the sheet. It was within 200 thousandths, 0.2 of an inch,
all the way across, side to side, and all the way out. Yeah,
like at the worst, it's 0.2 of an inch. Everything else perfectly flat, complete track.
Yeah, that's nuts. That's a neat track. We got to sit in the announcer's booth with Chad.
That's awesome. We actually had a little bit of success out there this weekend, even though I didn't get to go out there.
Yep.
But
that's what sucks about remote tuning. You're like, good job, guys. I'll go back to my peanut butter sandwich.
It looked like the track prep was kind of sort of there, but kind of not. Like there were some cars that were getting down low fives, but it wasn't like an X275 470 460 prep at all. It was definitely a low fives prep. You know, there were a couple cars getting down.
What was the temperature of the weekend?
It was about 90 degrees.
It was getting hot. The track was getting direct sunlight.
Probably about 135, 140 on the track, just because it's blacktop and it gets super hot in the sun.
Right.
You sat in the shade though. You didn't feel it. It was great. We sat up in the bleachers, up in the shade for a little bit, and it was like, oh yeah, it's real nice. Nice little breeze going on. Sweating our asses off.
It's a dry heat.
Yeah, we fought the track prep a lot. We fought the track prep a lot with the X275 car.
Yeah.
And it just power management is what it all boiled down to.
It was definitely a find the right amount to get out of the hole and get it rolling.
Wait, can I, Scott? Why do we have the Weather Channel, the National Weather Service, on the slideshow?
Sorry, let me switch that off. It's something I learned last week. I learned how to pull up the weather radar and put it on the video. I mean, people just watching slides go by. So
instead of talking about the weather in our local areas, we're just going to throw the slide up there now.
Yeah, just like, look, do you want to see the weather, man? Check it out. Informative. We're a news channel. Remember that.
Need to have like the Canadian chicks or something. The Canadian chick weather.
No, dude, I would get that. Who's that one dude that does like his own solo weather forecast? What's that dude on Facebook? You know what I'm talking about? Nebraska's gonna have a huge storm. That guy. Nick Smithberg or somebody.
Earthquake warning.
Right.
Doesn't he have Scott, doesn't he have a brother?
Who?
The weather guy. Doesn't he have a brother?
Is this going somewhere? Is there a joke here?
Well, you sent me the joke.
What joke?
You sent it to me.
Oh shit! No, I didn't. You sent that. I'm not even going there. I know what he's talking about now. He does have a celebrity doppelganger that we know. You're horrible. But anyway, oh shit, we're just getting veer into trouble once again.
That's all we're good for.
No, all right. Tell me about it. What?
Speaking of trouble, you got a guy over here asking, what's it take to get you to do a remote tune?
Who, me?
Yes, you.
Lots of us do them, but just message me on Facebook and I'll give you the next open time we can do it. And you PayPal an hour to book it. I'm $130 to get you an hour, but I usually go 90 minutes, whatever it takes to get it up and running. But Yeah, that's what I do. That's how I do when I'm doing remotes. So message me on Facebook or send an email to scott@realtuners.com. Either way, whatever you like to do. No stock. If I do stock ECUs, if I mention the podcast, you'll get like a 4-cent discount. No,
that's right, $129.99.
Right. If it's a stock ECU, I've got you bugging James. And I think we're overflowing poor James. He's busy this time of year.
Oh yeah, it's been crazy. What's on the agenda tonight?
Awkward silences.
Awkward silences because yeah. Hey man, you need to get some sound effects going.
I don't have a real drink because there's no liquor stores close to here right now.
Oh, that's
You're
no
in
go.
Vegas and nothing closes. There's
no, he's in
liquor
Texas.
everywhere.
He's in Texas tonight.
I'm in
Dude,
Dallas tonight.
Drive-throughs.
Tell him what he's doing in Texas, man. I got to check out Scott's job. Bewley, you missed out on the tour, man. Holy balls. Scott's job.
I was too busy making my tour of the United States back across 40.
Is it like top secret, or can we talk about what you do?
No, absolutely.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's boring when you do it for your job, right? So you never want to brag about what you do. But Evans works at a place where he prepares and puts.
It's boring.
Yeah, well, okay. Well, maybe I thought you might. I mean, I know how it was when I never like to talk about the jobs I did, my day jobs or whatever. But no. So Evans works at a place, a large, ginormous place that has facilities all over the country or maybe the world. I don't know. That lease out like stadium-sized concert PA systems, like the audio equipment that you would listen to Aerosmith or Carrie Underwood
Sound,
through.
video, lights,
all that shit, all the production stuff, all the stuff to produce like a huge show. And I got to tour the warehouse, which was super badass because he's like, yeah, you see this stack of speakers over here that are about the size of a refrigerator? Yeah. Oh, each one of the blocks that make that up is like $27,000 or whatever. So it's like $130,000 in speakers standing here, the size of a fridge, but they're really nice. I was like, okay. But anyway, it was cool because the place is this huge. It's got an 1/8 mile long indoor warehouse, 2 stories inside, super badass. It's kind of Scoggin Dickey-ish in its size, but super busy. You guys had a lot coming in and a lot going out. And they'd back up semis and load up for a Reba tour or whatever. Anyway, he's down in Texas right now, helping them set up for a George Strait.
George Strait, yeah.
Kicking off the tour. Yeah. So anyway, to me, that's just a neat
He's
job.
doing a couple shows. He doesn't really tour anymore, but he does shows here and there now. So like he's playing the Superdome over in New Orleans, and he's playing a show up in Wichita, and he's playing one, I think, somewhere up in Nebraska, maybe.
Yeah.
And so we're kind of getting everything so he can do a show.
Badass. Anyway, to be the guy that's asked to do that high end stuff, that's pretty cool. So I thought it was cool. You missed out, Billy. You should have checked it out. And
that's what everybody says. But I was on my little reunion tour.
Got my new truck, trying to figure out how to shift this thing with the stupid calibration that's just so dumb.
That is so freaking. It didn't take long to figure out what to do, but it took a long while to figure out how she wanted to be touched. She's a finicky little heifer some days. Right. I gotta get that thing tuned because the RPM hanging on the shifts is driving me nuts.
Right.
It was a good trip back though. Good trip back. Stopped, ate dinner with some friends. I literally made my daughter jump 2 foot off of her couch because I messaged her mom and told her mom I was coming through. And we didn't tell Maya that I was coming through. And I totally
just walked in the door and she's like,
right through the front door, and she scared the hell out of her. It was great. I loved it. It was funny.
Good stuff. What else is going on tonight? You guys need to start asking some questions, maybe. Got a bunch of people listening.
Well,
just kind of chilled out. Rye's got stuff to talk about. Rye had a week from hell.
You guys were living the lap of luxury in Vegas.
I wouldn't call it that, man. I had to do some dirty work out there.
Listen, I stayed in a damn Days Inn with a 15-year-old bed. I was so far from the lap of luxury, it wasn't even funny.
You drove across country in a mega cab Lariat with heated
with a distressed leather
seats.
Distressed leather.
Shut up.
Hey, the seats probably look exactly the same as they did when it came out.
Right? Yeah.
Hopefully.
I mean, all the flavors in the world tonight, and you chose to be salty. What the hell, bro?
I'm mad. I want that truck.
I do like that truck.
At least he's
Hey,
honest.
there's a gray one in South Carolina you can have. Can't have mine.
Man, after the amount of coin that I've been dropping on automobiles this week, my wife would probably divorce me quickness. But so yeah, we've I talked about it before. The 252 is our area code here. So we started a little top 10 list, small tire racing at our local track, Kinston Drag Strip out here in Kinston, North Carolina. Kind of podunk, kind of outlaw, but super fun. A lot of really pretty decently quick cars come out. It's not a lot of, bull crap street tire test and tune when you go to this track. So it's a good time. And I threw my hat in the ring and decided to go and mix it up with
the
guys.
Mustang, right?
Yeah, with the Mustang. So we jumped on the list at number 7, and then we do the race once a month, first Thursday of every month. They just do it in conjunction with the test and tune. We do usually 3 rounds. And we went out to test. So I remapped my entire VE table. I found some boxes that I didn't realize were checked and didn't like it. And then I made a bunch of suspension changes. So the VE tuning and everything like that, fuel was good. I wasn't really too concerned with that. So we went to the track to kind of figure out where we needed to be with the thing. And on the 3rd pass, I went up and I didn't really pay attention too much. I was the guy in the left lane double bulbed me, and then they had it set to a sportsman tree, not a pro tree. So I'm standing on the brake forever. And then I just let, my ego get the best of me and said, all right, well, I'm just going to serve it up to this new CTSV and let him have it. And I did. And auto start kind of fucked me I got 0 data on it. Trans got crazy hot because I was on the brake for so long. Anyway, we pulled the car into the pits to kind of cool it down. And then they're going to close the lanes. Long story short, to cool the car down, I let it sit there and idle in the lanes. Everything was good. My buddies walked up to the starting line to wait for me, and kind of reached down and revved the motor up a little bit to try and pump some fluid through the trans a little bit faster. And I heard a noise that I didn't really like very much. So we weren't sure if it was a lifter or what it was. And guys, pay attention to your oil pressure. Know what your oil pressure is supposed to be when it's hot.
Yeah, make recordings of it when it's normal and everything's good. Make at least one recording of it when it's normal. I don't remember it being 10 pounds less.
I'm the guy that starts the car. And I'm like, yep, it's got pressure. We're going. And then now I'm staring at a gauge that's reading 30. I'm like, I don't know. I'm second guessing. And, I didn't want to risk it. So we put it on the trailer, brought it home. Changed the oil on Friday around lunchtime and cut the filter open, and it looked like the bottom of a bottle of Goldschlager. So we have a race in 6 days. Now I know people are like, oh, this is probably listening to this story going like, what's the big deal? We do this every week, but I don't do this every week. So this is kind of, trial by fire for me. But so me and my buddy came over, and mind you, shout out to Tyler, my buddy Tyler. This kid is left-handed. His left hand is in a cast. No, he's broken. Okay. Left hand is broken.
Wow.
And this kid works his ass off. It's awesome. I'm like, man, imagine what this little bastard can do with 2 hands. So shout out to that dude for helping me. I know that sounded real creepy. Anyway, so yeah, we started at 2:00 on Friday, and by 10:00, I had got it fired back up. I walked across the street and opened my neighbor's garage, who's out of town, and stole a completely stock Gen 4 5.3 that he's building to put in his car. John, it's got one of your cams in it, but it's definitely not set up for my setup. But we jammed it in there, stock head bolts, dude, stock everything. It's just a cam, unknown miles. And we threw it in. And then I've been making some street hits with it, dialing it in, turning the boost up slowly. Thursday, day of the race, I come home at lunchtime from work to go out and make a couple pulls on it. 12 pounds feels great. Turn it up to 15 pounds. And man, I let this thing go on 15 pounds into second gear, roll into it, stand on it. And it throws me sideways. I'm like, oh, we are on one now. I pedal it, stick it, and stay in it. And I look in the mirror and it's just rolling smoke off the back of it. Well, then the smoke starts coming in the car. And I realize that's not tire smoke. That's oil. And I just fogged for mosquitoes for like a half mile down this highway out in front of my house. So, but I don't hear anything like hit the bottom of the car. And I don't, you know what I mean? I look at the oil pressure and there is none. And I'm pretty sure I just windowed the block, but I don't feel any parts hitting the bottom of the car. I didn't hear nothing crazy. It's not rattling. It's still running. So limp it back to the house, put it up on the jack, and it rolled the O-ring on the oil filter and just pissed all the oil out. And it's funny on the video, if you guys go to Bull City Speed and look at the video, you can see where I went back with my truck and retraced my footsteps. And it was kind of a wild ride. So we cleaned like 5 cans of brake cleaner, hosed the whole car down.
Ugh, I hate that.
Put a new filter on it, filled it up with oil, showed up to the track, and just pretended like nothing happened. Didn't tell any of these guys that I broke it because we had a sneaking suspicion there were 2 guys that were above us that weren't going to be there because they broke their cars. One I knew for sure, and the other guy, we're pretty sure he wasn't going to show up. And if you don't show up, you lose 2 spots automatically. So we were going to go from 7 to 5 just by showing up with a running car. We got there. Sure enough, we went up 2 spots. So sitting at number 5, and then I called out my buddy Brian Ward. He's got a 500 plus cubic inch big block Chevy on, I think, a single plate kit. I don't know, very, very, very quick car, small tire racing. He runs the Carolina No Time small tire series, and called him out. And we pull up to the line, and we're all like kind of patting this little motor, like, all right, buddy, like stay together, get it up there. And the thing doesn't even, it takes the best time on the data that I could get it to get to 10 pounds on the brake was 12 seconds. So I'm just like, you know what? I'm just going to try and throw him off his game. I'm going to bump in first before he goes in. Cause I didn't double bulb him, but the second he lit his top bulb, I went in and standing on the brake. And
I need everything I can get. I'm going to need all 7 of those.
Yep. And I see.
We watched somebody do that at the LS Fest where they stood on it and the air got them. They didn't realize that the DA was 4,500.
Yeah, the DA was 4,500 feet. I'm like, it's not going to spool, man.
Yeah.
You got to watch the weather.
Dude, I tried taking 10 degrees after top dead center, 15 after top dead center, 15 before top 10 center. I tried 0. I tried everything, and it didn't help. This converter is just way too tight, I think, even for my motor when it's in there.
Spray it.
So yeah,
you just got to spray
maybe
it. Just a little bit.
The cards.
It won't hurt nothing. You'll be fine.
I'll send you this plate with the 54 jet.
Ooh.
Don't spray it that hard.
So I go in first on it, and he jumps in and let go of the button, and this thing does nothing for 100 feet out. Then it comes alive, feels pretty good, but he's about 3 cars out on me. And then all of a sudden he shuts the car down, and I'm thinking he's just messing with me because he let out and then still beat me to the stripe. But then I look up, dude, and I got the wind light on. So the dude red lit. I don't know. And I thought, like, oh man, it worked. I threw him off his game. So I just went up. We showed up to get 2 free spots with a car with his tongue hanging out. And we ended up picking up 3 spots on this list. So we're sitting at number 4. It filled my catch can halfway because of stock head bolts. So we were going to go for number 3. And I was like, nah, let's not push our luck for the night. But so come to find out, what happened to this dude is it's not against the rules, but he runs a delay box. And they had the tree set up. Now I didn't know this. There's 2 different types of pro trees.
Mm-hmm.
There's a 1 second and a 1 7/10 second. So I don't know. When I see 3 yellows, I let go of the button. That's how I've always done it. But apparently he went red twice that night because he didn't realize that it was set out to the wrong tree. So anyway, that was
it's like a Days of Our Lives episode. Outstanding.
Dude, we persevered. We came through, and this little list race thing, I'm kind of hooked on it, man. It's a good time. There's some really fast cars out there.
Time. Yeah.
And there's some fast guys that are showing up for it. We're supposed to do a big like end of season race in October. They want to do, I think, and there should be some payouts pretty much from like number 1 to number 10. So I'm going to hang on to it as long as possible. And it's good drag week testing. You know, I mean, drag week's not necessarily heads up racing, but it gives me an excuse to do something rather than just go out and test for no damn reason. But yeah, if do you still have the picture of the Wiseco part number in the GM cylinder head?
Oh, do I have
Oh
it?
my God.
Hold on.
Ooh.
Where's
so yeah,
that
when we
at?
pulled the,
Maybe send that to me again
I'll
recently.
send it to you right now. Yeah, so we pulled the motor apart, and I thought that initially that I would have knocked the thrust out of it, but no, it got every rod bearing. Now, I don't know if I did my trigger angle wrong or if the reluctor slipped. I don't know what it is. It's just clearly it's this situation with too much timing, and it beat all the rod bearings out of this motor. The stock crank was bent, like with nothing attached to it, not even the main caps on it. I couldn't rotate the crank but like halfway around before it would bind up. So we caught it literally just in time. And if you guys are watching the slideshow, check out this picture. For those of you who can't see
I don't
the
have it yet
picture,
from you, brother.
I'm sending it.
And then it takes me like a minute to load up. Hold on. There it is. Okay.
So what you're going to be looking at is the quench area on my cylinder head that has a Wiseco piston part number very gently transferred, like carbon copy paper.
It's going to be about 30 more seconds, brother.
Yeah. So it beat the rod bearings out of it so bad.
Holy
that
crap.
The time delay.
It kind of loosened it up a little bit, just enough to kiss it. But we got to do, the only thing that was good was the block and the pistons. So new cranks on the way, new pistons are on the way, or sorry, new crank on the way, new rods are on the way, and hopefully we can have this thing back in there in a week or so and get back out there and start mixing back up again.
Still working
on
it.
The little 5.3 is still in there. I will show back up to that track with a 5.3 in the thing and do it all over again with a bigger catch can, or I'll just drain all the coolant out of it and really send it.
Okay, we're getting close. I'd say we're about 10 seconds away from having your pick online here. That's kind of an ad hoc thing.
Yeah, Andy's asking how do they use a delay box? They start as soon as both bulbs light on both sides. I've never used a delay box.
Yep, that's what
I'm pretty sure that's how it works. This dude's been bracket racing for a very, very long time. The dude's been drag racing longer than I've been alive. Really good dude, super smart, super crafty. And he was kind of bummed because he's like, damn it, my secret's out. But it was in the rules. It says you can do it. So
you can do it.
I'm not going to complain about it.
If you know what the minimum and maximum delay times are, you can just set it to the max and you'll always cut a really good line. Okay, that picture is live right now. So zoom in on your screen and check out the combustion chamber. Check out what happened there. I can't believe it did that, but didn't eat itself. I
know. I was literally.
That had to be like, that's the craziest shit I've ever seen. So you're telling me that was stamped on the piston and it ended up there?
Yeah,
it's dot matrix printed. It's like It's like machined into the piston with it just punches it in the top of the piston. So it's like taking a center punch and hitting aluminum. So a little edge pops up around the edge of the dots. So it stands up, just 2 or 3 thousandths off the top of the piston. You can barely. Your fingernail barely catches it when you rub your finger across it. And for it to transfer into the quench pad of the head, but yet there not be a mark where the outside edge of the piston actually hit the head is just.
Yeah, on the piston, I was pulling the pistons and the rods apart to basically throw the rods in the trash.
Called. They want their clearance back. I was gonna say it's something like that. That's what that reminds me of. You can't you gotta make sure the piston's down the board before you remove a spark plug. That's kind of tight.
So I literally was like wiping the piston off, and I looked at the piston. I'm like, man, that's really clean in that one spot. And I was like, that kind of looks like the edge of the chamber. And I grabbed one head and I flipped it over and I didn't see anything. And I grabbed the other head and I was like, oh man. I was like, I need to share this.
What rods do you have in that?
Compstar, Cali's Compstar.
Just broke one of those.
Is the small end of that is the bushing wore out in them?
No, but literally the bearing on the big end, the shells of the bearing wouldn't even. It was like a jump rope on the crank.
Oh, gotcha. So that's where your clearance come from then.
Yeah, it like the
reason I ask is I've had a couple of customers here the last probably 6 months wear out some bushings in those Compstar rods.
And I know what they're rated at, and I looked at Callie's and I spoke with those guys, and they're like, it kind of gave me that little, like, well, I'm still going to do it anyway. So, but I appreciate your warning and your advice.
Well,
I know,
it's hard to imagine that a forged H-beam rod is only capable of what a stock LS rod has taken.
yeah. I'm with you.
Depends on their forging process, though.
Everything that I broke, that I just destroyed, it was not any fault of the hardware. It was just the moron, unless the reluctor slipped, which I don't know. I think it was just basically the moron behind the keyboard, which would be me. So, because we put it on 20 degrees of timing on 16 pounds, and then we just kept turning the boost up. And I was like, oh, it never clicked in my head. Like, hey, moron, go pull some of that back out. And we kept turning it up.
Well, not commenting on yours, but I had a little ordeal this week. The top dead center mark was not marked correctly, and we burnt 8 pistons up in the process. So it's a hard lesson learned, obviously, but I guess the key to that is to check the top dead center mark yourself and not rely on the top dead center mark that is marked. So.
Yeah, that's the other thing too. Is I did the top dead center on it, and when I verified the timing, I set the offset. I did the timing, set at the top dead center. I set the top dead center on the engine stand using a piece of TIG rod, and then I put the whole motor together, dropped it in the car. Who knows if I bumped that TIG rod and bent it and moved it, and you know what I mean? Like, it's probably.
And the reluctor wheel could have moved, or there's a million different things that could happen.
I can't go back. I can't figure it out. So I'm just gonna move forward. It was an expensive lesson learned.
Right.
It kind of sucks, but it is what it is.
Yep.
The Band-Aid's been torn off and the damage has been done. So we'll be back. Awkward silence. Everybody drink.
Yes.
So if you guys got questions out there, we're pretty much winging it and freestyling it all night. So post up with your questions and we will do our worst to not answer anything you say.
What are we drinking tonight?
Mountain Dew right now, and I'm about to get a Miller Lite.
You got white lace or black lace on the underwear tonight?
I'm not wearing any underwear. I'm only wearing socks.
That doesn't surprise me. I got a new one to try this week. I'm trying something different.
What's that, John?
Well, shout out to Anthony Jeffers for his gift of appreciation that I got this week. He sent me some Gibson's Finest 18-year-old Canadian whiskey. So we're going to try that this evening. See how that works out.
I have a plastic bottle of Canadian Deluxe.
Wow. That doesn't sound appealing. That just doesn't sound appealing at all. We're all on the air tonight, James. Everybody.
Yeah, who do you want it to be? We're all here.
Yeah, who do you want it to be? 18 years. This has got to be some pretty good stuff, right? You think?
I would assume so. I'm not a Scotch. Is it Scotch or whiskey?
No, it's just 80 proof Canadian whiskey.
I've never been a whiskey drinker.
John, I told you.
18 years in Canada is only like 4 here, so.
Right. It's like dog. No, it's not quite dog years, but yeah, the same principles apply, right? I mean, they're not real people. They're never going to hear this.
Ouch.
The opinions expressed here do not necessarily reflect that of RealTuners LLC.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, John, I sent you that picture of that jack I bought, that Sinatra Select.
Yep.
Man, I was really disappointed in that. It really
That's
wasn't.
what you said. what turned out not to be anywhere near what you thought it was going to be.
Nah, maybe my expectations were a little high, but it wasn't a whole lot different than Gentleman Jack.
Well, I tell you, man, that one bottle that William Tetro sent me and Scott of I think it's the Black Label Select Single Barrel or whatever. That tastes really different, and it's really good. It's way smoother than any other Jack product I've ever tried. But this Gibson's is pretty good. It's smooth. I like it.
Nice. I know we do an annual guys trip. A bunch of us get together and go, and we always buy a bottle of something good, and that's what we got this year. And so we try it, and I'm like, this isn't nothing special. And I take a Coke and I pour it in there. All my buddies are like, what the hell are you doing?
Mixing it with that? Really?
Exactly. It just didn't impress me.
Nathan Inbody, has anybody had experience with Holly EFI going rogue and hanging the injectors open? I just locked up 2 cylinders with fuel. Injectors checked out fine. I personally have not had that happen. I will say I don't know who has checked out your injectors, but I have had injectors only lock open at weird pulse rates. So then be fine at other pulse rates.
Yeah,
So,
especially those really, really big, well-known ones.
yes. So I don't know who has checked out your injectors, but I really want to circle back to your injectors and maybe.
I agree with Mo here. Most injector benches do not have a driver capable of driving that injector, so it's almost worthless in my opinion.
Yeah, you really do need something with a true 8 amp peak.
Exactly.
Matt Cole's got a question. His car keeps throwing the belt when he's on the 2-step using a factory spring tensioner. Is that the issue, or do I need a manual? I've seen cars with a manual. When you pull the belt too tight, it actually snapped the belt.
Ask him to post a data log of that it on the limiter. I'm curious if he's got a limiter that has a big spread in RPM. Those tend to toss belts too. You might be able to tune your limiter a little bit to help with that.
Yeah, I had out a little
also
bit.
Check your balancer to make sure you don't have a chip or a bend in one of your pulleys or something. I've seen that happen before.
Yeah.
Depending on the
really
tensioner,
lined up.
check the tensioner too, because I had a tensioner that was the hub part, the spring loaded part, got where it was kind of rocking out, and it would roll the belt off. So a new tensioner fixed that for me, and to precaution that, I even ordered. I forget what the name of the
bracket.
I think Gates sells the little pulleys, but you can find like a bearing pulley for like one of the GTP supercharged Grand Prix, and they've got a tall shoulder plastic pulley that goes on that tensioner, and it kind of holds that belt on a little better.
Oh, I get what you're saying. Yeah, so it's like a cage, kind of captures the belt a little better.
Yep.
Yeah, make sure it's really, really, truly in line too, because if it's even off by half of a washer width, it can come off when you're on the limiter. It's got to be really dead on in line.
Hey, I've also seen it where a thrust bearing went out, and that was the cause.
Yep, if you got a thrust that's moving a bunch, it's the same thing as not being lined up.
Dude, I saw we had a 2JZ come in at the shop I was helping out a long time ago, and they came in and been in 2 different shops, 2 different tuners or something like that, and they're kept saying it was an idle issue, like the idle tune's jacked up on it because every time I push the clutch in, the car stalls. And we fired it up, and my buddy's like, watch the balancer. And I'm kind of new, a little wet behind the ears at all this stuff. And I'm like, oh my God. Like I could see that thing walking out of the front of the block. And it would, sure as shit, it would hit the thrust and stall the motor right there.
Or it would get the reluctor out of alignment.
Or yeah.
The ones that just shut off.
Let's see. There was one question I just lost. John, if you're here real quick, I've heard you explain it before, and you had a really good explanation for it. When you hear somebody say hipped heads, HIP, what does that mean?
It stands for hot isostatic pressing. It's a process that you do to a raw cylinder head between the foundry and the first machining. They take the raw casting and put it in a pressure vessel. and they raise the temperature of the aluminum up to it's almost plasticized and it's malleable. And then they basically pump the pressure vessel full and raise the pressure to like something crazy like 30, 40,000 PSI. And it basically forges the cylinder head casting. It reduces porosity to basically zero. And it can actually shrink the casting 1/8 of an inch in basically all directions. I posted some pictures on my Facebook page, on my personal page, a while back of the differences between a standard 245 and a hip 245. And you can tell how much the casting shrank by how big the machine surfaces were, the location of the spark plug versus the head bolt landings and the exhaust face and the width of the area around the bottom edge of the exhaust port. So it's a really cool process that adds a bunch of strength to the cylinder head casting, and without having to go to like a billet solid head or something of that nature. But it's definitely something that's proven to be worthwhile on a few of the high zoot motors that I've done. We've improved the ability to hold the head gasket.
So essentially, you end
a
up
little
with
bit more power.
You essentially end up with a more dense material and overall stronger metal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a really cool thing to see, especially when you get to see a hipped head versus a non-hipped head, in person right there in front of you. You can tell the differences. You can tell how much the head shrinks before they machine it, and it's crazy. It's crazy to see.
It's like shrinky dinks for your cylinder heads. Next question. Okay, is there a point when you stop pulling timing when adding boost?
Yeah, I think so.
Open question.
If you're dumbed it down to completely no power whatsoever. I mean, I'll do that. I'll set up my top row so that if it's somewhere where I don't intend to go, and if it does, it just yanks out all the timing down to like single digits or less.
So when I was trying to analyze my stupidity here in this whole process of Hell Week and going back over everything that I've done, and I kind of started thinking about this, and maybe I was overthinking it, but is there, like, as RPM increases, if you're really winging a motor to the moon, can you add timing? Because aren't the events happening so fast you can afford to lead that spark by a few degrees? Like in the upper
there's a point where the motor is going to want more timing back into it anyways, just because of the nature of high RPM. It's but it takes a lot to get it up there. I mean, you're going to be really, really, really zinging well beyond what most of us are doing with a V8.
Okay.
You can see it a lot on motorcycles where they'll take and add some timing when they're up at like 17,000 RPM versus being down at 10,000, because it's so fast it does need that extra burn time.
Right. Yeah. And I wasn't sure if I was overthinking it, and I'm like, well, maybe I'm not even spinning it this hard.
You're not spinning it hard enough to see enough of a difference. We're talking maybe you're at most going to see half a degree to a degree in difference between maybe 5,000 RPM and 9,000 RPM. It's just not enough.
Yeah. As the peak torque starts falling, you can start usually ramping some timing back in it. Just depends on the setup, Some setups like more ramp than others.
You're just pulling it out, so most people don't even notice it. So you're probably pulling some out at peak torque because that's where all your cylinder pressure is. You're trying to not kill the pistons, and then you can bring it back in. And by the time you get back up to where it's already fallen off, you're back to where it was down well below torque peak anyways. You're back to a number that you can't really tell if you were adding more or if it's just what it wanted. And either way, give it what it wants.
Gotcha. Makes sense.
And I'll tell you a little trick for those of you listening to, that might not have a dyno per se to see a torque curve. If you have some way of graphing a linear log, you can graph your injector pulse width versus RPM. And where your injector pulse width is the highest at a certain RPM is where your peak torque is.
Yep. Same with your
because
VE.
I was going to say, if you have a VE table, you can see where the numbers are higher and then it goes back down.
Yep. That injector pulse width is basically your torque curve, more or less.
If you're keen with Excel, you can export all your data and just plot the previous cell versus the next cell versus the one after it and you can actually figure out the time difference between those, or RPM difference between those. And you can see as it speeds up and slows back down, it'll draw a perfect torque curve for you to give you an idea of where things are happening. It takes a lot of math to get there. It's a derivative function you got to build in it, but it can be done, and you can make a nice little street dyno that way.
That's assuming that your manifold pressure stays the same, though. That's the key.
Yep. That's the key.
Yeah, it's got to be flat, because if you're climbing in boost, then it's going to shift it no matter what.
Yep.
Or if you have a boost spike at 5,000 RPM,
Right.
throw that off.
Here's one. Somebody has a mega square question. Why does my advanced table show 15 degrees actual ignition advance on the gauge, and logs is 4 degrees more? You have something in your tune that is commanding additional timing. Figure it out. I found that out.
Listen to Rye go.
Flex sensor was on mine. I was wondering why. I'm like, dude, I'm 17 degrees on the table. Why is this thing giving it 20? Had to go through.
101 is figuring it out.
Yeah.
Had to go and dig and find out that it was putting 3 more degrees on there. Is there not? There's a advanced. Isn't there? What's that function on there, Scott, that has all the?
There's a screen that summarizes all the different additions or subtractions to. It's the timing. There's one for the fuel. I think there's probably one for the timing. But you can also just look in the logs, and there's under Spark Advance, and they have Spark Advance : and then they'll list like 8 different things. You just load all of those up and find which one's adding or subtracting to. And also don't use base Spark Advance, just use Spark Advance. In some firmwares, there's base Spark Advance and Spark Advance. You want the Spark Advance variable. That'll give you what the final commanded timing should be. Make sure that's what you see with the timing light, and then make sure that's what's in the logs.
There's a couple of them that actually say final advance as well. So.
Yeah. Just make sure you understand which one you're looking at. Read the manual.
John Bealey, you might be able to knock this one out. What's the record for the fastest LS nitrous combo right now?
8th mile, I'm guessing.
Is he drinking?
Why would Bealey know that? He's a turbo guy.
Oh!
I don't know that. By the way, I don't know.
I wish he was on here to listen to that one.
I'm on here.
There he is.
I know he's banging away on his
hitting
keyboard.
up Google right now. What he's doing?
No, having a conversation. Having a conversation with someone, but no, not in the least. I know what the fastest like stock bottom end 5.3 nitrous car is, but like overall, I don't know. I guess it'd be. I guess it'd still be Bobby Parks.
Shout out to Bobby Parks.
Yeah,
and Chan Lee.
We
just need to get them on here.
We need to get his crazy wife on here,
but maybe one at a time. Though I don't know. Together, the two of them were. I'm not sure. This is the wrong podcast for that.
My vote is for her. Sorry, Bobby, but my vote is to have her on first. If we got
certainly an interesting duo on the social media.
Yeah.
But anyway, his car is bitching too.
Yeah, I guess I don't even know if Bobby was stock bottom end. I know at one point he was only stock block. He had a rotator, and that car flew on a stock block. But the like only true stock bottom end car that I can remember is Krusty, the little red Mustang from Chris Cantrell and Will Harbin. That car I know was stock bottom end. I did the combination in that car. So that's the only one I can really remember right off the top of my head. And that car has been 506 at 138. And that was a 5.3.
Okay. Nick Swanson wants to know, if he keeps air conditioning, can he use MS3 or Holly?
Yeah, you totally should be able to do that. It depends on the year, how many functions. Usually an ECU, in like I'm going to guess in your era, unless it's late model stuff, really late model stuff like 2014 and later, where it would all be CAN bus controlled. But if that, and by the way, if that were the case, I'd leave the stock ECU in it. I'd go as far as you could with that. But no, but anyway, but in his case,
so you can use the stock ECU for body control stuff.
Yeah, there's probably just a switched output or an input that then triggers an output under certain conditions, but that like shuts the AC off at wide open throttle or something like that. It's usually pretty easy to look up how that functions on the factory setup, and then you're just going to duplicate that in the Holly, which you can get someone to help you to do. I mean, that's the stuff Evans lives for, making Holly do that and turn signals and unique stuff. But it's not going to be hard.
I know on the Mustangs, when they changed over to the new 5.0 and everything went CAN bus, you can't run the AC without the stock ECU.
Right, but then in that case, you're going to want to tune on the stock ECU, and worst case scenario, put a piggyback in it or something. You know.
We put a dummy tune on the stock ECU so that I wouldn't throw a bunch of codes and try to make the dash blink at us constantly. And we were running a Holly to do all the engine management stuff. And it was literally just splitting a handful of signals over to the stock ECU so that it had the right things to know it had RPM, to know that it was just very, very basic stuff. It was only like 3 or 4 signals that we had to get to it for it to work. And it's fine.
It wasn't that hard to do. It means you got to learn and understand what the factory is doing to enable the air conditioning. Is it switching on and off the compressor clutch? Usually, is it in the circuit that activates the compressor clutch? Usually, it's going to be, or it's going to have something to do with that, or at least it's going to okay that.
And even if you don't, most of them still have a physical mechanical relay somewhere that you have to get to turn it on and off, and you can always just wire right to it, and then you can flip on a switch when you need the AC, and it works.
Just make sure you don't. I vote for people to follow what they're try to mimic what the factory's doing, because there's usually reasons in there. They don't overspeed the compressor, or don't run it at certain pressures, or exceed it, or just whatever. It's usually not that hard.
You got to be careful when you manually turn it on, because you'll blow up the compressor. It doesn't like real super high pressures. I saw somebody do that. It was not pretty.
Or rupture lines or whatever.
Yep.
If you've ever been driving down the highway and had a blow off valve pop off on one of those, scares the shit out of you.
And the shit that comes out of your AC is not very good for you if you breathe it, if it gets all into your normal air stuff.
Hey, we got a good question here. When people are talking about MBT, what are they talking about exactly?
Go ahead, Tom.
Well, this could be answered 2 different ways. Some people call it maximum best torque, and some people call it minimum best torque. When I think of it as that minimum best torque, which is the minimum amount of advance you need to get best torque from your motor
for a given load and RPM.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I've heard it as mean best torque or average best torque.
I've also heard it maximum brake torque and mean brake torque. I've heard engineers use that in OEM stuff.
Yeah.
So there's about 76 ways to work that acronym.
Scott, you can probably touch base on that CA50.
Oh God, not here tonight. I saved that for the classes. I'm halfway through my strawberry. It's the tall can.
No. It's the strawberry tonight, not the mango.
It's the strawberry. I want to try the pineapple one. Someone posted there was a pineapple. They had a commercial about their pitching the pineapple flavor. I'm gonna try that.
I'm still laughing at the Photoshop of my truck hauling a big mangarita to you.
Right?
That was hilarious.
Some of you people are crafty.
I'll have to find that.
Oh, you got to go back and see that.
Yeah, it was in the thread I posted about getting my truck. Luke Bant, got to give credit to Luke for that Photoshop job.
Luke, hey, I'm going to see him. He's coming to a class here in like 3 weeks.
So should we tell him how to get the MBT, or should we tell them they have to go to class to learn about that?
No, go ahead, man. You tell them whatever. I'm cool with telling them. I mean, I'm not going to get into I've actually tested with combustion pressure analysis, though, and I'll get into that. You know, I'll talk about that in the class. That's too deep for here. But and it's not. I mean, it's just I've done it for a couple years, not a lot. So there are OEM guys listening. I'm sure that.
Tool. You can buy a really special tool for about $8,000
for one channel. Yeah.
Well. There's a guy who I looked at the stuff a long time ago for somebody who was doing some serious research, and it was like $8,000 for like 4 channels worth of stuff and
one channel of sensors.
It was like one sensor, and you could buy like additional sensors to fill it for like $1,200 a piece.
Is that the TFX?
Yeah, that sounds like TFX.
It might have been the TFX, yeah.
And that's older pricing back in the day. I think some of that stuff is a little cheaper.
That was fairly recent. It was about 6 or 7 months ago when I was looking into it. Right. But it was expensive as hell, and it was, you could see put it in each hole, and you can look at everything at that point and see what's going on.
Testing with that stuff never goes
spark
the way
plug.
you would expect, but if you go through the whole procedure, it will help you, I think.
Yeah, it's tedious, and you need a lot of data.
Well, you got to beat up a motor or two on the dyno too, but. Oh no!
So
Anyway, but MBT. I mean, if he wants to can you how to find MBT, how to tune for it.
Well, I mean, the simple, easy answer is that you start off really conservative, and let's just say you got a turbo LS at 15 pounds of boost, and put 1 degree into it, and you pick up 20 horsepower. You put another degree into it, you pick up 19 horsepower, and then the next one you pick up 18 horsepower, and you put one more in it, and suddenly you pick up 8 horsepower, and you go, I'm gonna put another one in, put one more in, and you pick up 5 horsepower.
So then you go, I'm going to put another 9 in because it must need it.
Exactly.
Floink.
So what happens is your horsepower, your increase starts to plateau, and the idea is you want to be on that edge of where it starts to plateau. You know what I mean? So you get almost all the power, and you still have a little bit of room.
Usually my rule of thumb is if it's not picking up at least 10 to 15 horsepower per degree, I don't add no more. At least on a
send them out
sub
safe.
1,000 horsepower setup, obviously.
So I had to step out for a minute, and I missed the nitrous question on LS motor. So wanted to add my little 2 cents on that. Back in 2013 and 2014, there was the Real Street LSX shootout, and there's a guy called Kevin, and I'm going to butcher his last name. It's Roosevelt. Anyway, he had a 99 Camaro with a 427 in it. If you want to Google this, it's Kevin Rousavall. And the reason I say you're going to have to Google it is because a certain somebody took all the posts off of Yellow Bullet. So, anyway, he set all of the records in 2013 and 2014 with our Nano system, and then it got outlawed in the Real Street class because that is a jet limited class, and it's jet limited at a 32 jet, and we set all the records with a 28 jet, and it went an 8-1 at 165.
That's flying.
Yeah. Excuse me, 8-1 at 169. So
Did Billy just fall over?
Yep.
Hey guys, I just want to plug my GoFundMe real quick to help me fix my broken motor.
Sorry, I'm too busy donating to Dan. You can't have any of my money.
Where is Dan tonight? Has he messaged me?
I don't know what the fastest LS nitrous vehicle is, but that's pretty fast for a jet limited class.
Mo, is Eric there with you now?
He is not.
Okay,
He is
let me know.
eating, and then he's going to be here.
He's taking his time.
What's actually funny is right after that, a Pro Charger car won it in 2015, and then 2016, and then in 2017, that class, they upped the jet to a 46 jet, and a nitrous car won it again. So if you follow that class.
Nice.
Here's a decent question here, and I hope I'm not repeating this because I just went to the bathroom. Anything needs to be rescaled if you tune, or does anything need to be rescaled in your tune when you convert from a 12-volt system to a 16-volt system?
Probably.
Everything likes to work better on 16 volts. So
It does, but
always,
your dead times will change enough, and the chances that what you keyed in is always perfect for your application are minimal.
Yeah.
So you've probably got to tweak on, I mean, you could either try to just tweak on the dead time tables, or you can just bake it into the VE table for a standalone. You don't want to do that if you're a factory ECU guy and you're listening here. Sorry, I keep thinking everybody here is standalone users, but not true.
The other thing is you want to check the coil dwell.
Yep, some BCUs will automatically change it for you, like the Holly, and some will not, and you have to manually enter it.
And
when you go
some don't automatically change it right necessarily either.
Yeah.
So check that.
What's the minimum cranking RPM ECU needs to see on a Holly before it will sync up and fire?
Totally depends on the trigger type you're using, by the way.
Yep. Which trigger type?
Yeah.
There you go, Mr. Ed.
I mean, I don't have
Tell
them
us the trigger type.
categorized like personally, but
Most of it wants to be 120. They made the LS motor stuff work at 90 now, but most of it wants to see like 90 to 120 to work.
I can neither confirm nor deny. I've seen them cranking around 80 or 90 and light off eventually, but they're slow to get the decoder working.
Some of them do. I think the single pulse, single fire style does it down at 90, just below 90. I'm trying to remember them all.
Look at all of our Mixler listeners tonight. A lot of people listening on the audio. Good to have you guys. Sorry if we're kind of laid back and boring tonight. I'm just kind of beat from being out of town all week.
Keep the questions coming, everybody, please. And Andy, I was just kidding about the GoFundMe account. There is no GoFundMe account.
You see what Mo's wife just posted? Stephanie. They're funny. Whole grip of Starburritos.
Man, if that's all I got to do to get some money to go racing, I'm going to start me a GoFundMe account.
Right?
You're not going to get enough to go racing, Tom. You blow up more shit on the way to the track than you'd get.
Oh, man, you're telling me you got no idea.
I've seen some
hard to
pictures.
admit, like if you ever donate a GoFundMe, you know it's like a $5 minimum donation. Like I've donated, I'm petty enough to donate $5 to tell you that your GoFundMe is bullshit if I think it's bullshit.
Just so you can leave a note.
Yeah,
I'm going to pay $5 to leave a scathing comment.
You're like, hey man, you're a real piece of trash for doing this. Take this $5 to go buy some class.
I'm going to throw this out there as a disclaimer. If you borrow a trailer off somebody, check underneath that thing and make sure it's not rotted out. Because 2 weeks ago, we went to go to a race and we hit this bump. Literally, the whole trailer broke in half.
That sucked. You got to slow down, though.
I mean, I saw the picture. I was thinking, oh, there's no fixing that.
Not easy.
Nope. Thank God I got a streetcar. I just pulled it out and drove it the rest of the way.
Good call. That's actually pretty funny. What else we got? You know, if we run out of questions, we can always shut down before 10. We don't have to always go 2 full hours. These guys have to keep us going. You were
talking like you wanted to shorten it up a little bit tonight anyway.
No, I'm to keep going as long as you want, man. We literally have no time limit. We paid for the unlimited plan.
So you don't have any rollover minutes on this thing?
No, it's not quite like that. There's rollover disk space, I guess, but it's just a
rollover minutes.
You mean like unlimited after 9 p.m.?
What is it? The Ring Central. You got like 5 or 6 different systems in concert here that we're working on. Ultimately, I'm going to be able to do this remotely, hopefully in the next month or two. Put this on some servers on a good internet connection, and then just remote in TeamViewer to run that, and then phone in with a decent microphone. So I don't actually have to be on the said podcast even just to start it and get it running. But that's where I'm trying to go with it anyway. Always improving the infrastructure.
See, Andy has a question here. 18 degrees, 9 pounds of boost, and a 5.3. Does it seem like too much? What fuel?
Yeah, what fuel? That seems like a lot on pump gas, but it doesn't seem like too much on alcohol.
Came a long way.
Yeah,
I'm trying,
dude. See what I'm saying? I'm glad I'm not
came a long way.
Yeah,
you have came a long way from when we
shooting
started
these
this.
down left and right, and I love it.
Crap!
You're answering them right.
It's education through osmosis, I feel like. And
no,
really
where did you learn this stuff?
Well, I guess all education is just regurgitation of what you've already heard before. No. But yeah,
he went to a RealTuners class.
Yeah, I mean, you can't help it. You surround yourself by the people that you kind of strive to be. You're going to pick up some stuff here and there.
You're doing good, man.
How many episodes have you been on now, Rye? Like 40?
40 some.
No, I got on here like 20 something, I think. I'd have to go back.
Okay.
It was like July or August when I got on here.
Is it just me and you, Scott? The
Yeah,
original
no, me and
OGs?
you, Tom, are the
Yeah.
only ones that were on the very first show together, and that's just because you're a brave MF, dude. That's why I'm stick around because obviously our year anniversary is coming up here soon, and who knows what we're gonna do then.
Oh man,
But anyway, just
strawberry Ritas for everybody.
Oh, good, look out! No, he was on the first one, and all we did was just start knocking out questions, and it blew up. It was hilarious. But,
He just answered that question. 18 degrees, 9 pounds boost, 5.3 on E85.
oh, that's probably the most timing I'd run, and make sure that's verified. Make sure at your load and boost or load and RPM that you're actually getting on the timing light that number that you think you're getting.
You should probably put a good
I'd take
timing
a couple
pointer
out of
on
it.
it.
Yeah. I'd take a couple
Has to be
degrees
hot.
out of that. and
If
start-
it's an LS, I think Mighty Mouse makes a pointer that works really, really good on that thing.
Yep.
I've seen a few of them. They work really good.
The other question is, what ECU is it on? Is that on a stock ECU? Is that on a standalone? Makes a little bit of difference.
Yeah. Well, maybe I've seen some stock ones that are way off now. But
Excuse me. Can you oversize turbo piping? Which side, cold side or hot side? I would assume yes and yes. Specifically hot side, because then it's just going to be, the air just becomes a big rubbery sponge trying to push through the turbo. So it's going to delay your spool.
Got to remember, it's all about a mass flow. Everything you do is about the physical mass of the air. So the bigger space you have, the more air you have to move. You make it too big and you're not going to move enough air fast enough to jam it into the cylinders.
so velocity, there's target velocities you want to use. Learn
Yep.
that from the naturally aspirated builders.
Yeah, what was it they were talking about? And John talked about it too, kind of like increasing the charge pipe as it goes into the throttle body and kind of slow down the air as it comes in to
Getting
help
ready to
with
make that turn.
distribution. Yeah, so it doesn't crash into the back of the intake and all that. I wish I could remember. I wish I had a Rolodex of like what episodes we talked about this stuff on, so I can just be like, listen to episode 12. Use the search function, dickhead.
Got to remember, in the end, you're still stuck with the throttle body size. So
Yeah.
can't really go too much bigger than it because it's still going to neck down to that size and speed right back up as you're jamming it down.
Yeah. Well, I mean, how many people are out there using like probably a 92 or a 102 throttle body with 3.5 inch cold side piping? It's always going to have to step up usually. A lot. I mean, there's a lot of like the junkyard builder guys using the 78. Talking LS, of course, but what else?
I'm
I
knocking
need
out
a
questions via
106
text.
millimeter?
Go ahead, sorry, dude.
Do I need a 106 millimeter throttle body to make 2,000 horsepower, or can you do it through a 90?
You can absolutely do it on a 90. There are guys doing single 90s on big blocks blown and no problems.
So, I mean, at that point, is a 102 just a novelty or what?
There are reasons to go up. You do get some gains from it. You got a better chance of slowing down the air with a 102. It's not cramming down to this tiny little hole and rocketing through, but you can still do it on a 90. You're gonna pick up some things in different areas of the RPM by changing the throttle body size.
Cram it in your tiny little orifice and rocket through.
There's a big difference between starting out with the 90 and pushing it than there is
Yeah.
than already having it and pushing it. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
You can definitely make more with a bigger throttle body because it's more air that can get in. You have to have everything else right as well, but that's one piece that is not a restriction if you go bigger.
Okay, this one's kind of over my head, but I feel like you guys might be able to answer this. GS, when using a GS 1101 sensor, you guys familiar with that?
Yep, I am. The Cherry or
Okay.
ZF now. Yeah.
Okay, he's using it for crank and cam position
Yeah.
and wheel speed. Does he, with a Holley EFI, do you need a step up resistor on Holley?
I don't believe so. At least the way to check is to see if there's 5 volts hanging off of the signal wire before you hook it up to anything when the ECU is powered up. Be careful measuring that because you can screw stuff up if you short something out. But you can measure if they've got 5 volts or 4.5 to 5 volts hanging off of the signal wire. I just found out that some of the Holley digital inputs don't have pull-ups. And I don't know how to know. I just actually measured them on a system. Most of the inputs, all the inputs I'd tried to use, which arguably wasn't that many, 5 or 10 cars worth.
It's the ones that have that can't use the Hall effect sensor. It's the ones that can use a Hall effect that don't need it, and the ones that are strictly magnetic pickup only ones are the ones that have the pull up on the speed inputs. There's like 2 inputs that are strictly digital speed only, and those don't have the pull up in them. And that sensor does do a 5-volt output. So you do not need a pull up.
Okay. It's only if the pull up's internal in the ECU, then, is how I know that to work. And you can check that by measuring the signal wire, right? So if you measure the signal wire just hanging there and it's got 5 volts on it, that means it's got a pull up. So that's how I learned it here just the other day. I don't have a list of which ones are which, but not hard to figure out. You can ask us that offline too. Email me or message me or something.
So, guys, I have a special guest.
Oh, not special.
Sweet. Bring him on.
Definitely not special.
I have Eric here from ProCharger, and we were talking about him a little bit last week in his super awesome man cave.
Dude, I needed to rig up some kind of good audio intro for him or something. That's pretty badass, but welcome aboard, Eric. Eric Redzins.
Hey, ask him if he got a total for what that all that fiber costs to get fixed.
I don't have it yet because they still have to come and fix the parking lot. And since I'm not paying for it, I guess technically I didn't really care. But
I was just curious. That could have been cheap.
No. So there was another telephone line under that I actually cut probably 6 months ago. And so when the guy was there and called me and he goes, "Man, I just cut through a telephone line." I'm like, "Oh, it's no problem. I cut through it before. It's not a big deal." And then he was like, "Are you sure?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it's not a problem." And I thought he was talking about the one that was like a half an inch around. And
You should put that picture up again, Scott.
then I showed up.
I'm working on it.
I showed up later and I about pooped my pants. I was like, "Dude, that's a big telephone line." And he was like, "I told you." I was like, No.
It's up.
We're on different pages.
That is outstanding. Now, was that looks like a bunch of copper pairs, but was that fiber optic?
No, it was actually copper.
I was going to say, it looks like copper to me the way it's colored. I've worked in telephony before, but dude, that is a lot of channels, man. That is an entire neighborhood full of people right there.
738.
Oh,
that was the number there.
You can splice those, but oh god, that's a ton of work.
So the I guess hindsight being what it is. So AT&T does not have fiber where this is a small town, so it's not like a big money maker. I'm
big
sure
priority for them,
right? But the good news that came out of that is about 5 days after that, I ended up getting AT&T put in the building, which I was going to be what's is it Spectrum? Is that the Time
Spectrum.
Warner?
Yeah.
So
nice.
the Time Warner actually lost out on that deal after these dudes cut that thing. They didn't cut it once; they cut it 2 times. So, yeah. So there's a couple holes in my parking lot, and I guess it's like mandatory that you have to like make a bigger hole so that the guy can work down in there.
Yeah, obviously. Next time. Yep.
Yeah. So, and that was my new parking lot. But that's kind of how this whole project has gone. It's kind of like a typical car guy thing. You're like, "Oh, I totally got this," and then you find out later that you don't.
That is so true. Oh my god.
I mean that actually was a minor because again, I'm not paying for that. But after I had the parking lot put in, and then the gas company came out and was like, "Hey, you want us to turn on the gas?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's cool." And then they were like, "You know where the gas is, right?" And I'm like, "No." And they're like, "Under your parking lot." I'm like, "Oh,
yeah. I forgot about that.
So I actually had to have the gas company move the gas lines, and now they go up over the building. So my parking lot has not gone well.
Yeah.
I just want to work on cars. God.
No, I just want to drink beer. Are you kidding? I want to watch people work on cars.
That
I want
sucks.
to talk about it. But no, it's a learning experience for sure. So I don't know. I mean, that's it's I don't know. John Bewley wants to hang out, and I talked to was it Chad Reynolds today?
Yeah. And he's in Tulsa, right? Or didn't he just fly to Tulsa this morning?
Yeah. I caught him between airplanes or driving.
Are you guys going down to Tulsa?
No, I should.
I know. I wanted to go too, but I'm in Detroit this weekend. I didn't plan good as
no,
usual.
That's always a great event, man. That's such a good event.
No, Throwdown is badass to go to. That's a race you got to go to on your bucket list. Absolutely.
Right. I think it's amazing. It's amazing that so many local people, local Midwest, don't go. I think it gets overshadowed by some of the other events.
Yeah, I-29.
Yeah, but it's such a great event. I love that track.
Yeah,
absolutely. That track.
Yeah, Tulsa rules.
I'm not a big time racer, but I would gladly go a 14-second pass down that track with a smile on my face. Anyways, but yeah, that's about it. Just trying to build a big building and put some cars in it, and it's got a bar inside of it and some offices and
a bat.
Yeah, I got bats. There's more than one.
Outstanding.
But yeah, trying to work with next week. Got a meeting with the city so we can try to put everything in it that a car guy would want. So dealer license. So flipping cars. Got a liquor license for the bar. That's all. I've been lucky because I'm about 2 miles into Wyandotte.
Yeah.
Right.
And by being in that county is the only way you could get a liquor license easy and stuff like that. If I was 2 miles in a different direction, it would actually cost probably $250,000 just to get a liquor license.
Yikes.
Yeah. So kind of neat. But talking to some breweries and a distillery and a coffee roasting place, just trying to get all kinds of cool stuff under one roof. And yeah, that's it.
Can we back up? Because I am kind of lost here. What are we building? Because it sounds amazing.
Okay, so the backstory is I was going to build a shop in my backyard to play with cars. But in the area I live in, where my house is, if I build a shed, they will crucify you.
Yeah, and John,
like a historic district or something pretty hilarious like that. Yeah.
No, I live in a neighborhood that's trying to be cooler than it is.
Oh yeah. So you have a homeowners association or whatever. You have something.
Yep. So it started out as I wanted to put a shop in my backyard. I met all these roadblocks. So I was like, all right, what's the next step? Okay, well, let me find a building. I'm just a building for hanging out, drinking beers, and doing car things. And so then I had a building that was, right at the end of trying to get the deal done that overlooked the drive-in theater here in Kansas City. So pretty cool deal. I talked to the people that own the theater. I said, hey man, can I put a deck out back so I can drink beer, work on cars, and watch movies? And they're like, well, it's not like we're going to build a wall. So do whatever you want. I'm like, cool.
Can we take some of that leftover phone cord and run some speakers up here?
Yeah, right. Well, anyways, so that same week, one of my friends talked me into forming a property management LLC with him for tax reasons. And then I flew out to do a TV show just to make sure stuff went well for that. Remember, you guys know that TV show Engine Power?
Yes.
Yeah.
Got Pat on it and all. And what's his name?
Yep.
So anyways, me and my buddy, we formed this property management LLC, and we all put our money in this bank account. And then I was actually down at RTM filming, or they were filming Engine Power, and he sends me a text and says, dude, I found the building. I'm like, what do you mean you found the building? I already found the building. And he's like, nope, found a building that's better. I'm like, okay. So anyways, I flew back to Kansas City, and then he had found a mill. It's a flour mill from 1907. And she is 62,000 square feet and about 8 acres. It's about a city block.
Damn.
Jesus. You can do test hits in the building.
Yeah, we actually joked about that. You could do a 330, no problem. But stopping would be an issue.
Aim for the garage door.
Yeah, because it's up against railroad tracks.
You could put
so-
like some arresting gear in there or something like that.
I was just thinking aircraft arresting gear on the floor and a hook that sticks up. You just go right over it.
Yeah.
I'm sending you a bunch of photos, Scott.
It
All right. Oh,
was I
great
gonna say?
photo challenge tonight. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, no, we joked about all the different things. I mean, so I've already had a haunted house company tried to buy it from me within the first month, I think. I mean, they showed up and they were like, don't touch anything. We want to buy it. Leave it totally scary. I'm like, yeah. So when we got it, there was people living in it. Hobos were in it. Yeah. A lot of bats.
Dirty Mike and the boys.
Yeah.
thanks for the F Shack. That's what you need to name it. Just put
Well, no. The best part was, listen, the day that I was looking at it with the realtor guy, we went up to the top story, and in the elevator room,
I got those pictures.
was a bed, like clearly a bang pad, like right on the roof. And I was like, man, the high school kids are loving this. I got a good view. Nobody's gonna bother them. And I came back the next day, and it was gone. So somebody literally drug a mattress down like 5 flights of stairs. They were like, yeah,
Took it with them. We're taking this
Yeah,
if you're
like-
kicking us out.
you're not getting this. But
all the copper's still in the walls, but they took the dirty mattress.
no. There is no cop. So that was the thing.
There you
Yeah.
go.
So this building got stripped at some point in time in about 2002, 2003. And I mean, whoever stripped this building was dedicated, because we're talking, it would take months. Because it had 2 boiler rooms, 2 substations. I mean, there was more power coming into this building than I can even fathom. On one wall, there's got to be 100 power boxes?
Oh, yeah.
At least. And there's not one piece of copper in this building. Every wire, every conduit, everything's gone.
Yeah.
I mean, somebody went to town on it. So.
Well, tell them about the Clippers.
Oh, yeah. And the Clippers, whoever tried to cut the power off to the building, it was live. When they hit the main line,
Oh shit!
with the Clippers were welded to the building. I mean, physically welded to it. They were one with. Oh God, man! Just every day there's something different with it. But yeah,
Is there
moral
like
story
a toasted marshmallow sitting there near the Clippers? Or
well, yeah, I was actually there with the mayor, and he even looked at the Clippers and he was like, "There's no way you walked away from that."
Well, he was like,
No way.
He was like, "Did you find the Clippers?"
Yeah. Like, no, I found them. But
Earl told me they had a guy try to steal some copper out of somewhere that he was working once, and there was a pair of clippers that was stuck and a bunch of skin left on the handle of them.
oh, that's more like it.
yeah, somebody probably blew themselves right out of there. Yeah. But moral story is, it's a big giant place. Just trying to get together with other business owners and really make this little town cool, because the town's got a cool vibe. Obviously, Mo from Nano here is blocks down the street.
That's gonna be cool. Yeah.
There's a zip line place down the street. That guy's super cool.
Yeah.
The downtown area is like overruled by bikers.
Oh yeah.
I mean, just overruled. It's a huge biker stopping point.
Kobe is a bike bar.
Yeah. So it'll just be real neat. It's just one of those things where if the building has one thing in it, it won't be cool. But when there's like 10 things in it, then it'll be cool. You can go there on a Saturday and never run out of things to do or look at.
Yep.
I'm currently out of money, but
We wouldn't be a car guy if that. Yeah.
yeah, I learned a lot. Like I tried when I needed to put a roof on one section. Well, the roof's like 80 feet off the ground. That was problem one. But there was equipment on the roof that was 154 feet off the ground. Well, it weighed 12,000 pounds, so we had to rent a 300-ton crane to get it off. And that was pretty
Damn.
intense. Yeah,
Oh, and all the paint. Didn't you lose track of how much?
there's
paint?
2,500 gallons of paint on it now, on the
Yeah.
building. Yeah, it was ugly. It was like the color of a whale skin or something. So it's gray now.
I can't wait to come check this out. That's badass. Only a
Yeah,
couple
it'll
hours
be
for me.
Yeah, it'll be neat. So hopefully it'll just be like a cool car guy mecca, man. Just
Yeah.
hang out. And I'm just jealous of guys like that Garrett Cletus McFarland and just having fun and I don't know, flooring things.
Yeah.
So
He was at LS Fest, man. I saw him. I didn't get to talk to him, but he had a crowd. But he had his car out there.
He is such a good dude.
Seems
that
awesome,
guy,
man.
He probably had about 60 people hanging out around him and talking to him and with the car and stuff when we walked by.
I actually like his program. I like what he's got going on.
I do too.
Yeah.
I think what he does, like he's
having
brings
fun with
positivity.
Yeah.
It's fun, positivity. It's good for the sport.
And that car
Shout
is fucking all in mail, man. I mean, that thing's
you know
moving
that
out.
car's from City, right?
Yeah, originally, right?
Yeah, yep. That car came to one of the Mustang F-body meets one time. But no, like there's a lot of people that talk to me about Garrett and they're like, man, they're like, I don't get him. It's annoying, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, man, you're either jealous or you're not watching that guy's program.
I didn't get the thing first, but watching what he was actually doing with the car, I didn't get the Cletus thing, but him as Garrett, normal person, is like, man, you're doing some pretty cool stuff. They had the car at Kevin Smith's shop down in Florida, KSR Performance, and they were working on. Kevin was helping him do the chassis setup and the Holly tuning there, and that's when that thing was busting its last record or whatever. We had a class down there like a weekend after. We just missed him, but I guess Garrett's a really good kart driver, really good driving experience. So they said he's a really good driver. So, but anyway, badass.
Yeah. No, yeah, he's a cool dude. I mean, there's very few people out there that have those YouTube channels that actually, in my opinion, take the time to know. Well, to know what they're talking about, you know, some of them are content generators and they don't actually, they'll say wrong stuff all the time and it doesn't, where Garrett actually, he knows everything about everything he's doing. I mean, he wants to know it. And man, he's he's
you know what that means? We got to get him on here then.
Yeah, absolutely, man. He'd be great.
He's doing the tuning. He knows. I know. It's funny because Kevin told me he was seriously involved in all the tuning and what was going on. Like wanted to know, and just was. That's Kevin Smith is a guy you take something like that to. He'll figure it out because he's pretty cool dude, man. He figures stuff out. They've once built some kick-ass winning radial tire cars. That have won some Ducks race events. They won like the first 4 or 5 events in a row. What is it, LDR class or Outlaw Drag Radial? LDR, I think. But
that's actually my favorite class. I love LDR.
Oh yeah. And then they went and won some Trans Am or road racing shit at Daytona. That was a big deal. That he was driving for. Yeah, ODR. Okay.
Yeah, back old school ODR.
Old school. Will, yeah. But anyway, Kevin's
with Will, what's his name in that third gen Camaro
they had Cletus's car at that shop, and they had been working on it, and it was fast after they were done with it. I mean, it went out and set its most recent record. Now, I guess that record, that stick shift or manually shifted, is it just in general, or is it specific to Corvettes? Whatever record those guys are all going for, that shifted hands like 3 times.
Yeah. GM, I think, is what their GM stick shift, right?
So it's both. It's both at the same time. There's certain ones chasing the GM overall because Ray's got the GM overall.
I'm just gonna say I like that. I think that's badass. I'm not one normally that's into like fastest GTR and chrome lug nuts. Third one into the 6s. Whatever. Just. But I mean, at the same time, you know what I'm saying? It's still kind of cool that you're at least. I mean, those guys are working at something. You know what I mean? I shouldn't make fun of them. I'm not going to make fun of the drifters.
That's another one of those things where everybody gets pissed off about internet records and they think it's stupid. But why is it stupid? It's a goal, man.
Yeah, it's a goal.
If you're making a record, that means you're doing it better than everybody else with that particular product.
Still, I'm going to defend the guys that go rounds, though. It's not as it's easier to set records than it is to go rounds.
Oh, well,
show up at an X275 or Radio versus the World or the Ducks race. Yeah, and you can go rounds, then that's a notch up on records in my book, but I like them both.
No, it totally is. It just, unfortunately, guys that go rounds don't get the recognition, or in my opinion, they don't get the recognition as a guy that goes out and sets records one time and then disappears.
Yeah, like when we had Keezy on here, I mean, shit. Those guys that's like setting records every 45 minutes. You pretty much got to be that awesome. But anyway.
Well, I'll let you guys get back to your sweet race car stuff here.
Yeah,
I'm going to go down the street and kick out my bats.
All right, man. Well, we're gonna have to come down there. We're gonna have to do a live podcast from this place at some point down there. I mean, you're close enough that
I'm down. Listen, I'm down for the
Should
drive.
totally try to keep the backs
Yeah.
though. They're gonna be eating all the other bugs.
when
and
he's
they won't
ready, I
hurt
mean,
you.
Eric's gonna build a
No,
classy place. These are the House of Boost guys. He's gonna have something cool worth seeing. So you let us know when you're ready, dude. We'll come down there and we'll do a live show from there one night. On a
Live from the F Shack.
Yep, Dirty Mike and the boys.
Now, hey, there's so
Is
many
that
cameras
Stephanie?
in this place.
We're busted.
There's so many cameras in this place. I don't think you want to be having your booty hanging out. I'll put it straight on the internet. All right, I'll see you.
Somebody's getting yelled at. All right, Eric.
see you
Eric
later.
Radsons, thank you, dude, for being on, man. We'll talk to you again.
Yeah, not a problem. Maybe next time we'll talk about some belt-driven turbos. What do you
I'm
think about that?
all over that. We actually would love to have you on as an official representative from ProCharge if I get permission.
Yeah, oh, come on.
Dude, you're going to get unliked by a ton of people
Hey.
now.
Hey, I know, John, I know you don't like them, but you got to look at that blog I just put up today. There's a lot of wins in there. That's a lot of W's.
I'll have to-
18 in a month.
I'll have to
Only
take
because
a
they
look.
make
Ooh.
unfair.
Let me know. Let me know how many of those are like 2 or 3 in a night or 2 or 3 in a weekend
Blah, blah,
from the same
blah.
car. Wah,
It is.
wah, wah.
Come on, man. Now I got to do what I can do against my competitors.
You guys do a fine job.
Yeah.
All right, man.
Some of those cars are hard to beat, man.
Nah.
You guys are on it.
They are.
Well,
Definitely.
Well, before I go, let's be honest. This is blower car weather right now.
Yes.
It is. So when we move into summer, that's where the blower cars. It's not an efficiency thing, but that's where a blower car is going to hurt because the turbo cars can just back half way better. So I got to take my wins right now. But I love all my racers. They do awesome.
You guys support them really well too, man. I just want to throw that out there. I worked with Rob Goss and those guys in X275. Man, that is super nice to be at those events and have like a rep on site. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And able to help. I just thought that was badass. So shout out to the Pro Charger guys, all you guys that do that.
Well, and shout out to guys like Rob Goss for sticking with us while we were, working through changing up the gearbox and stuff like that to be able to support the power level he needed to be at.
Those guys are into crazy
but-
levels of R&D anyway. They're not afraid to go out there and try something and break it.
Right.
I mean, they like
right.
to win, but yeah.
Well, and to be able to build something that fit the rules, because everybody was like, "Why don't you fix it?" Well, you can't just fix something if it's not allowed.
Right. Right.
So it was that took a while, but I think this year's gonna. I mean, I think we already actually have some X275 wins for this year, so that
Yep.
makes me very happy.
A+. Good stuff.
Yeah.
All right,
Okay.
dude.
Enough
We'll
about
be
that. We'll
back
talk
from
about
from your place here soon. Then let us know. Keep us posted. We'll be watching.
Cool. We'll do.
All right, dude. Oh, that was cool. Good job, Mo. Mo Lonis in the field.
Yeah.
Field reporter.
Back to you in the studio, Scott.
We're really not that formal or official.
I had to spice things up.
No, Eric is good one to have on. That's funny, dude. He's always got some good stories to tell. They've done it. They've got a long history doing some neat shit in this part of the country. So
Yep.
good to have him on.
So yeah, a little Eric story, man. We're this past weekend, all of a sudden he randomly pulls up in a bus and he's like, "Hey, I just bought a bus. Hop on. We got to go weigh this thing."
We had to weigh this thing.
There's a scale down the street, and so we all took bets on how much the thing weighed.
What kind of
And,
bus was it? Like a school
Just a
bus?
school bus.
Right.
He's gonna turn it into a. Yeah, it's got an 8.1 in it, so it's probably gonna end up with a Pro Charger or something. But
Right. That's pretty funny. Is he gonna turn into a car transporter or something, or a party bus, or what's
probably a party bus.
party bus with a
but
chassis dyno in the back?
something. He's just.
Sounds like
So
something you
yeah,
guys
all
would
of a sudden he just randomly pulled up in the parking lot. "Hey, I just got this bus." Like, oh, okay. Yeah. Welcome to Bonner.
Right. Bonner Springs. We'll be down there in a month and a half. Oh, let's see. What else? Come on, man. Who
A
else
couple
got-
questions.
Go ahead,
Rolling
Bri.
in.
Go ahead, Rye.
For data logging, so I'm kind of curious about this myself. Is it beneficial to data log crankcase pressure if you don't have a vacuum pump? Is there any good data that comes out of that?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
there is.
You're still going to know
Yes,
there's
sir.
ring wear.
You'll
and
see when you
you're
blast
still gonna
around the
see
rings.
detonation.
Yeah.
What do you look for there? Like as a
Sudden
baseline?
increases that are
Or do you
that are
just-
not normal for a normal pass for you. So log
So the
some
baseline
data.
is based on each motor, everything's going to be different.
Yeah, exactly. Your baseline's going to be, it's like coolant pressure. You're like, you don't really know what it's going to read. It depends where you've mounted the sensor and how much blow-by gases you're getting versus how much they can be evacuated will cause how much pressure that the sensor's going to pick up, right? But get used to what a normal trace looks like, because you'll start seeing abnormalities really quick. You'll be like, hey, why is this big jagged line in the middle right when I'm on the throttle and it shifts into third gear at wide open throttle and 40 pounds of boost? Why all of a sudden does the crankcase pressure go up? Well, that tells you that you're suddenly you're getting more blow-by gases that are pressurizing the crankcase or whatever else it may be.
Usually that means detonation because you're right on the rings. and
Right,
you lose
shaking the
seal.
rings.
What's the what kind of scaling? Is a 0 to 100 pressure sensor okay for that, or
Don't need that
Oh,
much.
not
if you
that
got
much,
100
no.
PSI.
Yeah,
you get more than a couple PSI,
right,
you got
like
a problem.
be able to measure 10 or 15. Yeah.
Yeah, do a 2-bar sensor,
At
and
the
it'll
most.
give you both vacuum or boost, and you're fine.
and boom, there you go, Austin M. Rainey. There's all your questions. Awkward silence.
Dun, 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 dun. I need to have some music playing in the background. I can bring up some sound effects or something.
Some more gospel or something.
Oh, here we
You just
go. At
always
what point
unmute
is it
Julie.
beneficial to switch to a mag pickup versus a traditional crank-mounted OEM reluctor pickup? Well, I think it depends. At whatever point you start losing signal and you got to change up to a different. I mean, there's thrust issues on LSs. I don't really know what combo you're running. You probably have to give us more details. But I would say at this point, when you know that you're starting to lose signal or have signaling problems, maybe it's a thrust issue or ignition noise,
Might just
whatever.
be too much RPM for the reluctor.
Yeah, possibly. I don't run into that
You-
very often.
Got to be spinning it pretty high for that. But
What else? Come on, you can go 19 more minutes.
dun, dun, dun.
More awkward silence.
Feel free to speak up. I'm just sitting here clicking away, looking at questions or not questions, comments, whatever.
There we go. We got a good one. Any ideas for the 1 year show?
No idea what the hell. Up for suggestions. What do you guys think we should do? Because it's going to be upon us, and it's going to be like Wednesday afternoon of the 1 year, and I'm not going to have like some huge, I don't know, change the intro up maybe? What grinds Bewley's gears? No. Well, we are now taking ideas for the 1 year show, but I'm going to put Rye in charge. Rye is our creativity and production manager. Rye will come
Boy,
up with some cool
what an
shit to do for our 1 year.
What an appropriate job for him.
He's good at that. Look at this video. Look at the Bull City Speed videos. Check out Bull City Speed. Man, that dude's a content machine. And
What
it's
did I
good
miss?
content.
I'm sorry. I had to go get a beer.
We're talking about you, man, and saying that you were a content machine, and it's good. Check
Uh-oh.
out the Bull City Speed videos.
Thank you. Appreciate
Yeah,
that.
that's
Yes,
how bad it
please.
got for the minute there.
Yeah. Dig at the bottom of the barrel here. We're talking about rye.
Nah.
Now, there'll be some good ones coming. I got a couple I'm going to drop this week, and kind of a really cool collaboration that I don't want to talk too much about. But if you watch the last video, you got an idea of who's coming on board with the old BCS over here. So I'm excited, dude. This, what jumping on here with you guys has brought to me, and everything else that's happening this year, for just not really knowing what I'm even doing with it. I'm excited for whatever the hell it becomes. So thanks for all the support. And Matt Vaughn, the listener down under, I'm still working on t-shirts, and I'm going to have specific shirts just for the Australian listeners where the logo on the back is going to be upside down. Somebody got it.
Oh yeah, I thought it was funny. None of the other sticks in the damn mud, fucking laughing at it. I thought it's hilarious.
Thank you, John. I
You're
appreciate
welcome,
it.
buddy.
You're my only
I'm always here for you. I'm your one true friend.
Yes.
That's exactly right.
Yep, there he is. What's up, Matt?
Yep.
He's in the Mixler chat.
He's on about a 15 or 20-second delay, probably. Not too bad.
What, down there? It's probably got to be way more.
No, I
He's
don't think
actually listening
so.
to this
I
in
think that the
future.
packets travel pretty fast around the world. I do remotes in Australia all the time. It's like I'm right there. So it's pretty quick getting there. It's more delay probably right here at my end of the operation than anywhere. Dun dun dun. I am gonna just start playing some music in the background.
Put it on the Chris Stapleton Prime channel.
Oh, I don't know if I can do that, man. I
Yeah,
can
is
get
there
in
a
trouble for
licensing
broadcasting
requirements?
that.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
It's got to be royalty free. Or no, I mean, I don't royalty. I paid for it. I actually pay for the music that we have. Oh, so did you guys see Jimmy Bowling made the top 5?
Did they? Who else made the
I don't
top
know. I
five?
didn't
Who-
hear if
Biggin
they've only announced 5 of them so far, right?
Eric Yost did. I just saw the post.
Oh, he did too. Kick ass.
Yeah, that's gonna be rad. I can't wait to see that.
I'm looking forward to that whole thing, man. That's going to be fun to watch. What
I
those
hope
guys,
so,
what
man.
those
I hope
guys
that
can
turns out
accomplish.
cool.
Yeah, if you guys don't know what we're talking about, some guests that we've had on here, Eric Yost, who's the other one?
Jimmy
Said
Bowling.
Jimmy Bowling. They're competing to be involved in a program called Horsepower Wars. 3 teams, $3,000 car, $7,000 in Summit gift certificates, essentially, and then basically they go and battle head to head on the drag strip, and winner take all. I don't know what the grand finale is, but if you want to see some badass racing, go check out their videos. Check out Horsepower Wars on Facebook and vote for your favorite. And you know, the more rad team you pick, the better the show will be. So between those two, it's going to be an absolute bloodbath. I don't know. Who
I'm
else is
interested to
on
see
the
how it goes
cards.
because honestly, whoever's doing the picking so far, doing a good job. Both those teams should be tough, man.
Oh, and don't forget the team Kevin Smith's on. Our buddy Kevin Smith on
Right?
KSR.
Do I don't know much
They're-
about that. I haven't been following. I need to go look and follow his posts. I didn't know.
He's on a team with Eric Kenward and a couple of other guys out of Florida.
Shit, those guys will be
So,
tough too.
That's what I'm saying. That's
Damn.
what that's
All right. Then
we talked
whoever's
about-
doing the picking, listen to us. You're picking the right type of people.
You need the KSR team that's got Kevin Smith, Eric Kenward, and those guys. You need Jimmy Bowling and the Stinky Pinky crew, and you need Biggin, Eric Yost, and the guys out of North
Which,
Carolina.
dude, Eric and those guys are going to be badass. I mean, if the thing is going to be
They're
who's
all 3 going to be badass.
Well, if
all
it's-
3 of them. It's going to be a toss up.
I don't understand the rules very well, but if it's building on a budget, if it's going fast for cheap, who do you think's got that one out of that group?
I feel like Biggin.
Listen. It's a toss up for me. I am
tough.
not going. I cannot. For once in my life, I cannot offer an opinion on the subject.
I will. I'm
Wow.
going with my home state homie. I'm going with Biggin, Eric Yost, Lyle Barnett, it's P.
Man,
Harrell,
those guys are
and the
bitching.
rest of those guys.
But those are
That's a
high end
badass team.
guys. They got to build
Yeah,
a car for dirt cheap, right? So it's like, I mean, I don't know. Eric Yost can do anything. Have you ever seen? He's got a
When you-
golf cart
when
with like
you-
a Hayabusa motor in it that pops wheelies and shit. So I
But
mean, he
think
can
about
build
how
anything.
much, dude. He worked in NASCAR at its
Yeah.
prime. Like, how much shit has he patched together?
Yeah, he could
you know what I
probably
mean?
build something good cheap. I don't know. I'm interested to see how that goes, man. I think Bowling and those guys.
The whole crew, man. Kenward's experience in racing NMCA for as long as he's raced NMCA. You've got Yost and those guys with the multiple cars that he's been involved in. Pete Harrell doing the engine work. Jimmy Bowling and Dean. Dean will put a
Dean's a
pro mod
character.
down he'll put a pro mod down a dirt road if he thinks he can do it. And so I've seen stuff and roads that he's run down that I don't want to drive down in a Geo Metro. But
Take a video if you do.
you just want to see my fat ass in a Geo Metro.
Pretty much.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. Fat man in a little coat.
Just Mario Kart it.
Yeah. Just cut the roof off and let me sit on the car, not in it.
All right. I'm not a big spender, but I am a betting man. I got $50 on Team Biggin. If anyone wants to take that,
I might take that. God, I don't know, man.
I'm not going to say if
you know,
they make
and
it
I
to the
didn't
final
realize.
three.
I mean, if Kevin Smith and those guys are in the mix now, Kevin's got some. I tend to think events like this favor the guys that have the cheap ECU talent, right? So, like, if you watch the last of the Pinks episodes, where that maybe the last 4 or 5 episodes or so, where guys were winning by being super creative with a little bit of money. I think it's going to kind of be that theme again or whatever. And God, that always favors the I can make my own Mega Squirt crowd, roll your own ECU. If you $200 goes a long way on a cheapo system. I mean, you can have a full-on 3-stage progressive nitrous controller for $300. You know what I mean? Or you can run a complete LS with and do dome pressure control, boost control with a couple other cheap sensors for $400. You know what I mean? So and I know like Kevin Smith is very well versed in that stuff, and so is some of the guys on Bowling's crew. Like they've got access to some of the cheap stuff, and that works really well. You know what I mean? So I'm curious to see. That's obviously they're going to be power adder cars, aren't they? Don't you think?
Oh, for sure.
Well, so then you're going to be managing power adders some one way or another. I mean, and doing that. If you've got a limited budget, the less you spend on the electronics, which can get pricey fast, the more you can throw at the power adder parts and the hard parts of the car. But I don't know. I think it's going to favor the guys that can do the cheap ECU stuff. And I mean, they all really have resources on that. They all have access to good resources on that. But
I think every one of these guys has gone fast at one point in their careers with just a single plate and a progressive.
Dude, right, you're right. And not only that, but every one of those guys, those teams, those guys have won a lot of shit collectively. It's not just going fast once. You know what I mean? Every one of those guys are like hardcore go-arounds type of guys. So I don't know, man. I'm shaping up to be kind of a cool little contest. Whoever's behind that, if you want to get on here and pitch it, let us know. But we like it so far.
Oh, show.
See, he's a rich mogul. Give Biggin a pack of bubble gum and some MIG wire. You know it'll be fast. That's funny. All right. I like to hear that. I just know Eric for his high-end stuff. That's the only, I mean, he showed up at Drag Week with some pretty trick shit.
Dude, he went 200 miles an hour in a 3rd-gen Firebird. It's a 3rd-gen Firebird.
Right.
It's not exactly high
Listen,
end.
he owned a 3rd-gen, so therefore he knows all the tips and tricks there are to rednecking
this
a
is
car
truth,
to make it
right?
run.
That's what I'm saying.
Right.
Take that. You can't put high end and 3rd-gen in the
Reynolds
same
told me
sentence.
about he's got a golf cart with a Hayabusa motor in it or something stupid. And I guess when it gets up on the cam, it's pretty stupid. But anyway, we'll have to have Eric talk about that. So what else?
Can you explain 16-bit versus 32-bit?
Yeah, how much data can be processed in a single gulp or a single cycle from the ECU? So 32-bit can obviously do a whole lot more in one cycle. So the frequency of your processor, like how fast it's running. Well, you multiply that times the number of bits. How much actual data it can process in one chunk. For the
So what does
basic
that
math
mean
operations.
what would that mean as far as like
Performance
ECU
on an
limitations?
ECU? You
like
can do more
limitations.
stuff at one time. Maybe you're more accurate ignition timing, capable of being even more accurate with higher tooth counts, is probably a big one. Reading
Sometimes
more,
it's
going
simple,
faster and
more
more data off the bus into data logs, stuff like that.
Sometimes it's just as simple as more functions because the processor can do more stuff in
Yeah.
a small amount of time.
It can
So it
mean
can
a
do
lot.
more stuff.
Some systems take advantage of that, and they have development environments that you don't actually write hex code or even C code for. So they'll take advantage of that extra space to run an interpreter layer so that you can write simple script or something a simple way to build your own firmware if you're doing development type stuff. So some of them like use that extra horsepower to run an interpreter layer.
What else we got here?
Worst ECU
Somebody does-
you've ever worked on? The Bosch, one of the Unijet things that sprayed into the flapper door. That was a
Oh my God, that was so
mono
horrible.
jet or whatever. Yes, those were fun. You get them right, they're pretty cool. Tune on some of those, but
Holly Commander 950.
no,
Yeah,
I
the
like the Commander
Commander
950. Don't you dare dog that
Oh,
ECU.
those were horrible.
Don't even go there, dude. Bitches, that thing has won like more stock eliminator stuff than them and
You
fast.
can do a lot of good stuff with it, but you one wrong button push and you're just fucked, and you got to start all over.
It's pretty
Oh, man,
basic, and
that
I don't know. I had good luck with Commander 950 just running an engine, right?
Yeah, I mean, back in the day, it was all you had.
No, I
It was
liked
like-
it, man. I liked how they
in
worked.
2004, 2005.
Even
you know,
before then, dude. Like,
Well,
yeah,
that was my first experience.
they
with
were
it, because
starting to
that's
get
what-
old then.
That's
Can we count transmission controllers in with bad ECUs? I'll count the
Oh,
easy
yeah.
TCU. Fast easy TCU is just horrible.
Oh, we're not dogging anybody. It just your experience was horrible with it, but yeah, I mean, I know where you're coming from on some of that. I like me some XFI. What else?
I'm okay with the XFI. It was just that one controller that doesn't really control that great.
Right.
What, two lines of LEDs not enough to figure out what to do with something?
LCD, man. You can't see it in the sunlight.
LCD. There you
Don't let
go.
it get warm.
Matt Vaughn, no, I have not blown up my neighbor's motor yet. just slightly elevated the cylinder heads, I think. But
Them rubber band head bolts.
yeah. I'm gonna get him as a thank you, I'm gonna put a set of head studs in it for him. I'd put it and return it in the exact same condition in which I found it.
Better.
How often should somebody check their valve springs if they do about 60 to 65 passes a year? 600 lift, shifting at 7,000.
Ooh.
Depends on what valve spring
Get
it is.
yourself
If
the
it's
checker.
if it's a
Depends
single
on how hard
every
it is,
year.
too. If it's something that commonly people run 700 or 800 lift with no problems for a whole season, then your 600 lift is like a baby spring. But if it's like an LS motor, 600 is a fair amount. It's not, it's more than stock. It's something to check more often.
Is it a street car? Do you drive it on the street?
Does it have XER lobes instead of HUC lobes? I mean, there's a lot of consideration to take into there on valve spring life and
Do you have a
expected life.
Lunati cube that has some super aggressive, unbearably aggressive lobes?
Yeah, some 48 MOI. But yeah, you need more data to be able to even remotely be able to give an idea of how long a set of valve springs should be able to last in a motor. Like the turbo stuff that I do, the cam lobes that I use, they'll last 2 years before they even start nosing pressure over, especially if you follow the recommendations on install height and which spring to actually use.
Buy a on-head spring checker, which is basically a pressure gauge that you can pull a big handle down on, and it'll test the spring tension, and you can use that to check it pretty much any time without having to disassemble the heads. It's not as good as taking the spring off and putting it in an actual checker, but it'll get you a ballpark, and you'll see when it's starting to tank.
We need to get Veer and Singh on here. We need to get Jose on here. We need to get some turbo guys on here, by the way. We need to add
I
that to the
keep
list.
telling Jose.
Ron
Jose's
Sutton.
got the
We got a
fan-
turbo guy on here, don't we? Isn't that Bewley's
We
job?
need to get a real.
Oh,
Damn.
I'm teasing.
Say it with
He
your
knows I'm
heart.
teasing.
Who actually makes the turbos?
say it with your
Oh.
chest. Say it with your chest.
If you got hate in your heart, brother, let it out.
No, I hung out with Bewley. I like Bewley. I hung out with him last week, and we had a good time.
Yeah. I don't know what to think seeing you twice in like a 3-week time span.
That was a little weird too, and like
I know.
two different time zones. I'm like, all right,
Yeah,
I know you two didn't even kiss or nothing.
gross.
Well, his better half was there. It was
Yeah.
awkward.
She liked you guys too. That's pretty funny. It's like, wow, I actually like those car guy friends.
how could she not like me?
Of course.
It's impossible to hate somebody who provides you great food.
And then, yeah, of course, yeah. Like, how in the hell can you?
You guys
Evans
did good, Evans, man. Evans'
Scott
choice.
Evans,
yeah,
he takes you to Gordon Ramsay's restaurant, and this dude is so connected that 3/4 of the meal, because we didn't
order from the menu, right? He knows the secret menu.
Not even on the menu.
Yeah. And the waiter's like, oh, you must be somebody we know or something. It's like, all right, whatever. He's like, I'll order. I got it from here. And the first thing was the deviled eggs made with some kind of crab.
It's crab and bacon. Yeah, they're amazing.
Killer.
Listen,
dude.
it was all I could do not to pick the plate up and start licking the bottom of the plate.
I know, right?
Because they did the filling as a base and then put the eggs on top of it. So I ate my portion.
It was good, man. Go to Gordon's Pub. And where was that at? Was it in Caesars?
This is in Caesars.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's in between Caesars and the shops there to the north of Caesars.
He's got other properties all over. He's got other restaurants all over Vegas, a couple of them, and that's the best one.
Right. Yep. We also like the Guy Fieri one. I like the burgers there. I thought it was pretty good. Hey, it's time to wrap up.
That place is great.
Going once, going twice. Anyone else?
Got
I'm gonna start playing music.
Of that meme where the guy sitting behind the table says, "Changed my mind." I'm looking at I have a Holly. I'm thinking about a Haltech. Changed my mind.
Oh, Evans is on the fence, man. He's shopping maybe the Haltech. Didn't like the data logger as much. Likes the programmability. But yeah, so change his mind. Convince him that he needs to
tell
check
people that if you're a Haltech user and you want to help convince me to change,
we can get Dale Heiler on here. Plus, probably one of the guys from Haltech. Plus, James is a Haltech guy. So that we should.
James is working on me pretty good, but more people the better.
Right on.
Especially from people who have used both. And I'm very happy with my Holly. There's some things that I like about the Haltech that are making me consider it.
Very good. All right, man. Well, we'll work on it. Well, everyone else, have a good night. Thank you for listening. And we will be back a week from tonight with episode, that'll be 48. Everybody else take care, and we'll talk to you soon. Are you interested in learning how to tune electronic fuel injection live in person with the guys from RealTuners? We have 2-day courses in dyno shops all across the country. Register for all of these at RealTuners.com. Click on RealTuners Live Classes. If you'd like to bring 2 or more people, talk to us about group discounts. For more info or to make a reservation, go to RealTuners.com or message us at RealTuners LLC on Facebook. Learn how to tune your own standalone EFI systems like Holly, FuelTech, Megasquirt, Fast, and others on the chassis dyno. Includes topics such as traction control, individual cylinder tuning on a budget, and power adders. Upcoming classes with available seats are as follows. EFI Essentials in Detroit this weekend, May 12th and 13th, just a couple seats left. May 26th and 27th will be in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Then Holly EFI Essentials at 417 Motorsports in Springfield, Missouri, June 9th and 10th. And back to Detroit for an all standalones class on June 31st and July 1st. Then we'll be at Nano Nitrous in Kansas City on July 21st and 22nd. Stay tuned, we're working on more dates. Sign up for updates at RealTuners.com. These classes are designed to help you get your project running successfully in a course taught by people who actually do this stuff for a living.